And welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, RFK Refugees podcast. Ted here, John here to review what I'm sure was a scintillating game of soccer between DC and TFC. Ignore the PPD down at the bottom there. That didn't happen, right, John? We watched a game of soccer, right?
It did not happen. I think DC won by 7.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Flores hat trick, amazing opening, to the tournament for him. He's probably like the Golden Boot runner right now, right? That's what we all.
Yeah, Segura, I did not assume was going to score 6 goals.
Yeah, I know, crazy,
but he did.
We gotta laugh, folks. I don't know what else to do right now other than find something to joke about. It's bad. I don't know how else to explain this. This whole thing is as bad as it looks. If you haven't been paying attention today, if you just woke up, thought you missed the game, said, "Oh my God, let me hear what Ted and John have to say about the game," so I don't sound like an idiot on Twitter. You always sound like an idiot on Twitter, by the way. Just FYI.
Except for you, listener, you sound great.
You sound great, listener.
You know what you're talking about.
Everybody sounds like an idiot on Twitter is what I'm trying to say. But the game was postponed. We found out probably pretty much. I woke up. I was about ready to run the dog out real quick, sit down, watch the game, relax a little bit, and then the news started to break that TFC had not arrived onto the field. They had not at the stadium. DC was at the stadium. We could see pictures of them in the locker room. Lineups were released and everything. Apparently, DC United overnight had a positive COVID-19 test. We're not going to say here on the show who it was. We're not going to, bring any speculation or anything like that into this. But basically, there was a positive test. They're waiting for a sort of second conclusive test. And that's just kind of the way it is. And so the team basically was there on the field. They had apparently been cleared by MLS, which is all the more confusing to me that the league would do this, that this somehow fits into their protocols. I can't imagine that fits into their protocols.
The protocol is break your own protocol. That's the special sub protocol is whatever you said you were going to do. If that is inconvenient, you do not do that thing.
Yeah. So apparently, as Paul Tonoto is reporting, said that players tested last night, flagged as positive in the morning. One TFC test was inconclusive. That'll have to be retested. So overall, teams should not have been out in the field. This should have been 7 a.m., or if they didn't, as soon as they got the test, they should have said, "Sorry, guys, no game. Let's just postpone this. Let's push this out." But they didn't do that. So that, in my opinion, deserves a lot more harsh reality. It shows that MLS can say, "Oh, we're taking safety protocols seriously. We're taking everything to granted." The fact that one team went out to the field was assuming they're going to play a game, and another team didn't. And even if there was sort of a miscommunication, TFC got told that someone had to run out and tell DC. There had to be. Even then, it just looks bad. There were reports that TFC was refusing to come out on the field, which I don't know if we can say that. Mark Abbott was saying, "Nope, that's not what happened. We just managed to get TFC before they left the hotel to tell them no game." I don't know if we'll ever get the full story or the truth as to what happened. Maybe some player will break silence. I don't know.
My money's on Bill Hamid.
What's that?
By the way, my money's on Bill for breaking the silence. If anyone's going to break the silence on that,
because and he tweeted out. He said to Mark Abbott's comments. He said false. If this is happening, and people have rightly pointed out that DC is well past the sort of point where you could say, well, perhaps he brought it in, or perhaps he brought in the coronavirus in from wherever he was in DC. But the fact of the matter is that if this comes back and I think we should absolutely wait until there's a second test. There have been plenty of false positives to say there is a non 0% chance that this could come back, that it's a false positive for the player,
which is a point enough against the idea of a safe bubble. If the thing that you're using to test gives you false data over and over again.
Yeah, I mean it is, and it's something that MLS was well aware of coming into this. This is not a problem that's just limited to what MLS chose as their testing. I mean, this is a problem with how the coronavirus tests are running. So it's not good, and I am If the games happen, we're going to cover them. That's our. I think that's kind of our. I don't want to say it's our duty or our job. To
It is what the podcast does, though.
yeah. Without
If the games have, it is not a political decision on our part not to cover DC United games as a DC United podcast. So we'll cover the games as they happen, but we'll also say what we think on Twitter. I think I said this morning that if the players don't feel comfortable with this, and the fact that the protocols are not being followed, and that players don't feel safe, and that community spread is happening inside the bubble, send them home. It's done.
Yeah.
There's no point in if half the teams could play fine and not get COVID and the games come off, that's not a tournament. Like the whole idea was that this was going to be it was going to count for the regular season. There's no way that can happen now with two teams no longer in it. And that there was conversation that there'd be further games at home markets after this. I can't see that happening either. Although, and we'll talk more about what the USL is doing probably on tomorrow night's show. But this is not good. They would have the MLS's luck has to turn completely around for this tournament to go through and finish all the way. I know I was pretty confident that there was no way that this was going to be stopped. And I said, not unless someone died or ended up in the hospital. But it might not take that. If they can't, if the bubble is pierced, then they're really just taking a risk every day. Then they might as well just break the quarantine and just let players come and go, because it's not going to be any safer or less safe.
So, in my opinion, like I said, there are two aspects to this. There's whether there is a spread inside the bubble. If there's a spread inside the bubble, that should warrant MLS to say this is canceled. The other thing is how this whole thing was handled, and we saw that with the fact that teams were not notified at the same time. There was it's a logistical mess, and no bit of PR from Mark Abbott, I think, is going to clean that up. And I think that to me, if I'm the Players Association or I'm a union rep for this team, I am pleading with my MLS Players Association to literally tell players to boycott, tell players not to come out of their hotel rooms, not to train, not to do anything. The way that was handled, I think, is the most despicable aspect of this. And if that is not addressed as to why this took so long, why if they don't have tests back, why they're even pushing forward with the game, and just why it wasn't postponed sooner. I mean, I think this could have been handled a lot better, where MLS could save face by the fact that the test that comes back for both players, if both the inconclusive TFC test and the inconclusive test for the DC player comes back negative, then they can say, well, hey, the bubble's not pierced. It's the false positive. Let's continue. I don't know if you can say that at that point. I don't think the way this is handled, I think, is going to be, and in the way it's been, the way today was just handled, I think, is just the ultimate slight against this idea that this is safe and that all precautions are being taken. I just think that in itself is a slight. They are going to push every game to the absolute limit, and even if test results aren't back fully, they're like, all right, just go out to the field. We won't start the game until we get the test result. Well, by the time you get on the bus, by the time you've interacted with the bus driver, I don't think the bus driver is quarantined to the bubble. You've interacted with the outside. Who knows if you pass a reporter? Who knows if you pass another player or some other official who might have? I mean, they're just at that point. You've admitted that you care more about getting these games on time than actually keeping people safe and making sure that the tests come back the way you want them to before sending players out there. That I think in of itself is the crux of my argument. Okay, you guys don't care, and the PA should step in and say, you guys are not taking our players safe. We're pulling out. We are advising every player not to come out of their hotel room, and until we, either have a meeting or we figure something out, or we go home and you send us home. I mean, I think at that point, that's what I would say. I'd be like, we're done here. You put us on a plane, take us home, or we'll figure out a way to finance a flight back home for these players.
They've got to quarantine before they go home.
Yeah. So but that's it. But that's basically it. I just think there needs to be the MLSPA needs to step in, because that is absolutely atrocious. Anyway, yeah.
So let's talk about the game that is happening.
should we shift to that?
Let's shift to that.
Okay.
So Washington Spirit conclude the non-knockout portion of the group stage portion of NWSL Challenge Cup. Of course, because Orlando Pride was unable to attend, every team makes the second round, so that's good. So DC United, Washington Spirit. It doesn't really matter where they are located in the standings, but if you're curious, they're located fifth, which is, I believe, where they finished last year in the whole season. I think they finished one spot out of the playoffs in fifth. So if you look at those standings, I think the thing that Ted and I realized was true here this morning. Everything we thought we knew, except for the fact that North Carolina were going to be very good, and they are, and that is true, has been wrong. The bottom two teams in the tournament are Portland Thorns and Chicago Red Stars. Not what we thought. Sky Blues in second. Houston Dash are one of the best teams in the tournament. And OL Reign managed to get a win and are tied for second after being, well, almost everyone's tied for second. But after being sort of looking like the dogs of the tournament, and who we were kind of excited to potentially play in a first round, they managed to get a win in their last game. So this is a small sample size illustration right now of both league parity and also the fact that you don't know what you're getting here in an off-season tournament, basically.
I don't think it changed much from the perspective of the Courage are way up here, or way at the top, and then there's everybody else kind of down here and way down at the bottom. Like, I think that's just kind of the league. I mean, I could easily see 2 through 8 reversed up. You know, if the Red Stars come back against the Spirit, we're talking about the Spirit struggling and the Spirit. I mean, you look at the coming into the matches last week. You had both the Oil Reign and Sky Blue at the bottom of the table. And everybody was like, Utah's probably going to run them over. Oh, Reign just looks so bad. They come up, put in a solid performance, get a scrappy 1-0 victory over Utah, who was looking like one of the hotter teams of the tournament. Then you have Sky Blue versus Houston Dash, 2-0 victory for Sky Blue. So it was almost like those two matches just kind of flipped everything. Now it's absolutely wide open for second place in the group. The Spirit can probably get themselves very, very close to that point. Because if you look at the remaining matches, you have North Carolina versus Sky Blue. Things could go crazy in that last match, I guess. You know, who knows what could happen. But I would say the Courage will probably take that. So, yes, Sky Blue have 4 points, and they're not going to finish last probably now. But you would think that something's probably going to happen. Then you have Chicago versus Utah. I mean, I just look at the rest of the tournament and I say, well, now this kind of opens the door a little bit for the Spirit to basically take second place, which puts you at the opposite end of the North Carolina bracket, which means you would only meet North Carolina in the final. I think the second place, the teams that are like the 2-7, and I don't know, are they doing reseeding are they doing like a reseeding once teams win, or is it just like 1 versus 8, 2 versus 7?
I think it's just that.
Okay, it's just that. All right. So theoretically finishing second, third, or 6th or 7th is probably that sweet spot where you get to sort of avoid the Courage in the other side of the bracket till the final, which was, you were probably, if you make it the final, you're probably playing the Courage. Let's be clear. So this is So this is going to be I think this is going to be an interesting game. I'm very excited. I'm a little nervous. The Spirit are apparently we don't have the lineups, I think, just yet, or at least confirmed lineups. So I don't have a graphic for you yet. I'm only checking to see if there's anything.
They're going to come out in 1 minute.
In 1 minute, okay, fair enough. In 1 minute, so we'll have the lineups for you live and in person.
That's right. You will get will get real time reaction.
We do know that DiBiase's out of the game, which is a huge loss for the Washington Spirit. She is so crucial in that center of the field. And
so is Lavelle.
So is Rose Lavelle, who's questionable. So we'll see if she's on the bench. If she comes off the bench, I'll maybe feel a little bit better. But if both DiBiase and Rose Lavelle out, this could be a tough go. And the team will need someone to step up. They'll need Ashley Sanchez to step up. And we saw tremendous growth from Ashley Sanchez from the first game to the second game. If we continue to see that growth, then I will feel really good about what we have coming up for the Washington Spirit. But I'll be curious to see what the lineup's like. This is the third game within a couple weeks. These players did not have much of a preseason, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah, in the program notes, Richie Burke said, heading into the final preliminary match versus a resurgent Dash, we are banged up and several players have acquired heavy loads in the first 3 games, which may force us to limit their match minutes. blah 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 blah. But basically, we're going to treat this game as if it were a knockout game. We're gonna send out the strongest lineup we can. So don't expect to see players you've not seen at all yet. I think is the overall. I think that Lavelle is likely, if she's fit to play, she'll play the second half, similar to what she did against Portland. That was Portland where she came in the second half, right?
Yes.
And turned the game around.
Yep.
Yes. So that's good. Houston has cooled down a little bit since the beginning of the tournament, but I would argue. I would not say the Spirit have. I would say the Spirit have been up and down. They ran into a buzzsaw and then have been, depending on who's out in the field and what the tactics they're looking at are. They've changed a little bit. So DiBiase is, like you mentioned, it's a big miss. Yokoyama is a player who I think we've talked about her every pregame as being somebody that we hope can really show out. Mm-hmm. She may have to today, particularly if there's no Lavelle to be the creative dynamo in the midfield. Chance creation for a full 90 minutes of Ashley Hatch would be great. The time is now, so we should be able to see the lineup. Has it been posted yet? Or are we going to have to yell at the Washington Spirit Twitter account? It's up. Okay. We'll send that. Can you look that up while I bring it up? It's on their Twitter feed.
Yeah, I see it right here. I will try my best to get this up on our YouTube.
Yeah, page. We are doing this on the fly. It's pretty impressive. Ashley Hatch starts again after starting on the bench. Last game against Portland, Yokoyama and Sanchez are the other two players up front. Bailey Feist, Andy Sullivan, and Doreen Bailey are in the midfield. Feist has now, I believe, started 2 of the 4 games. And has played well. She played the best in the game where she came off the bench, which I believe was the second game against North Carolina. But she's getting major minutes. I think that's good. That midfield depth is going to be important. McGrady, Nielsen, Staub, and Huster back in the lineup after being out, and Bledsoe again in goal. I was wondering today if there would be an opportunity to give her backup an opportunity, but they said no, we're not going to do that. Not enough games to screw around with that. There is no Lavelle on the bench, so there's your bit of bad news for the morning.
Wow.
Ty McCullough has made the bench for the first time.
Yay! I'm a huge McCullough fan for sure. So
I think we have 2 goalies on the bench. I think we threw everyone here on the bench. So after previous comments by the coach saying I'm only going to suit the players we're going to play, he decided in this game we're going to put everybody on the bench. So not a lot of offensive firepower here on the bench by the looks of it. So this is what you see is what you get. Hopefully Sanchez, who has been running, has been playing I think full 90 minutes in these games, maybe subbed off in one of them. But has been logging major minutes, which normally you get concerned about that with college players coming off, but this is a short season, so maybe their legs being younger are going to help them out a little bit here. I would like to see them get ahead here early, and then be able to sort of play with a lead. That would be great based on the fact that Lavelle's not playing on the bench is big, but not exactly full of game changers. So, what's your read?
I mean, I look at Sanchez. By the way, I think I do believe in the second game, Sanchez. I think you're referring to Ashley Sanchez. I don't think she played. I think she came off the bench in that game, if I remember correctly. I know Hatch also came off the bench in one of those games. It still looks like a fairly strong lineup. If we're gonna get, I feel very, very good that Ashley Sanchez, based on what I saw in that second game and how much she improved and how much better she looked. I feel pretty confident to say that she's going to do, at least she's going to continue to show that improvement. I believe it was Kim McCauley on Twitter sort of, I forget, I think I was listening to her on Total Soccer Show was saying, what's most impressive is that she learned that quickly. I can't just dribble around people anymore. These are better players, better defenders. I need to trust my teammates and I need to pass the ball. And to sort of see that recognition early is very, very good for a young player. There are a lot of players that have a lot of great talent dribbling the ball, but they think that they can just do that all the time and then it's going to work. And sometimes, and maybe 1 out of every 10 times it works. But if you don't have that ability to sort of see the field and pass the ball, then you get figured out pretty quickly. As we learned with a certain number 10 last year for DC. No, not going to say who it was. Not going to go there. But I think I look at this and I say, if Yokoyama can step up, then I think we got something here. I mean, Andy Sullivan's going to be great. Bailey has been pretty good in this tournament. You look at Sam Stab, the back line has been mostly solid. I see a lot of things to be, I guess, happy about and to be confident about that they can put something together to get the 3 points today. And the Dash are not as formidable. I guess they the Sky Blue can go out who can and do something to them. I think no reason to think that the Spirit can't do the same as well. So I'm excited. I'm excited for this game. I'm excited that I still get to watch some actual local soccer. So
that it's a bummer that I saw the Rose Lavelle injury happen in the game. Saw it happen.
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I hope that doesn't come back to bite them. She's kind of gimpy. Hopefully that she can work through this. But she I believe played like 5 more minutes. It was sort of an innocuous challenge, just sort of ankle to ankle. But I was like, if there's one spot on her, hamstring bad, ankle bad. Those are the 2 places you do not want to see her grabbing. And that's what the injury was. Hopefully it's just something they're like, well, we're gonna be seated where we're gonna be seated. We're not gonna be last.
Yeah.
Let's be smart here.
Maybe we won't be last. I mean, shoot, we could see it theoretically still finish last. I think. I mean, a lot has to go kind of our way, but I mean, I think this game will play a large role in
Chicago would have to win, we would have to lose, and our goal differential would have to change by only 1.
Yeah.
So that could happen. You're right.
Yeah. So,
ugh.
Fun times with a short tournament and with like 8 teams playing like 4 games and like there's like all this math you have to do and figure out, and none of it's fair. I mean, the fair would have been everybody plays each other once and like we would get a probably a pretty fair representation of what this group is. But
that'd have been great.
Yeah,
a longer tournament, particularly since this is the one league that has managed to keep an impenetrable bubble around them. Now, would it have been a lot to ask for these players to have been bubbled for the amount of time it would take to get 7 group games in? Yes, but from the selfish fan perspective, it would have ruled. I would have been happy about that.
What I think would have been interesting to do, I don't know how it could have extended time, but if they could figure out to make it work and maybe not extend the time period as long, why not have said maybe midway through the term, say, hey, you know what we're going to do? We're going to play, and maybe that would, I'm sure coaches would be upset, but like maybe if things are going well, why not extend it out 7 games and then just make it 4 teams make the semifinals and the final of the tournament, rather than doing this kind of like these group games matter, but they don't really matter because everybody's going to make it anyway. It's all about seeding and trying to avoid playing Carolina. That's just something I've kind of thought about is as you were talking about that. It's like, it'd be nice if they could sort of extend this out a little bit. And but we got we got games on. Do we want to talk about a little bit about the Dash, or do we have their lineup up yet? I don't think
the lineup is up.
Yes.
Looks to be a relatively full strength lineup. Rachel Daly is playing. She has been scoring for fun, or at least been playing well. Mewis also playing. Oyster on the bench, who I believe has scored a couple of goals. I think maybe scored 2 goals so far this tournament. Christy Nairn also on the bench. They have a little bit. They have a few more, I think, difference makers on the bench than Washington may have due to the injuries. But they're certainly set up. They're set up to play offense here. I don't know if the. I don't know what to expect from that perspective. But I think after their loss against Sky Blue, they're going to be out to make a statement that the beginning of the tournament was not a fluke, because everyone was talking about Houston. Yeah. Everyone was saying, aside from North Carolina, the team you don't want to run into are Houston. If they lose today after losing to Sky Blue, everyone will say, boy, the narrative got turned around very quickly in the course of 4 games.
And I think
it's a condensed narrative cycle.
Yeah, and I do look at this lineup, and I think Dash have the upper hand, especially if we are not seeing Lavelle on the game day roster, and Richie Burke is based. I think this is with Lavelle. This is more precautionary than anything. I think he's looking at, okay, this is the last game. If we can just hold up defensively, maybe sneak a goal or 2, maybe we walk out with a win or we walk out with a draw. If we lose, a lot of things have to happen. A lot of permutations have to happen for us to finish, last. At the end of the day, I'm out here to win this, but I think the important thing is let's make sure we have our strongest 11 we can possibly have for the first knockout game, and then we'll kind of take it from there. I think maybe that's the perspective he's kind of he's kind of going with. So I think this is going to be a tough match for the Spirit now. Looking at this lineup, looking at what the Dash have out here, I don't see any like big names missing. There isn't any name that's out there that's like, oh man, that they're going to miss them. And I look at the Spirit and say, well, there's one huge name missing. So this is going to be a challenge, I think, for this team. Another challenge. So
I didn't mention Shea Groom either, another player who's had a really good tournament so far for Houston. Yeah. So this is going to be another gauntlet. We'll see how it goes. I think I don't think I'm as pessimistic as I was against North Carolina, but this is a crapshoot. This is Washington not at their top, not at their full fighting strength, and we've got to see if they can get a result even without that.
Yeah. All right, folks. I think now we're gonna go and call it a little bit early. Gives you some time to relax, grab lunch with your family, enjoy the rest of the game. We've made a decision, I think, that we have decided not to do a post-game show for this game. We're going to hold all our thoughts till Monday about the game. We got a lot to talk about. We got USL coming back. We got more info potentially on what's going on with the with the MLS's back tournament, and I'm sure there's going to be things that are going to break from this that we're going to talk about. So we decided we're going to hold off a little bit, enjoy the game coming up, guys, and we will catch you guys tomorrow, 8:30 regular time. Vamos.
Vamos.
Raise the spirit.